So this is going to be a little bit of a longer one because I want to go over something that I like that I've seen a lot in live action Star Wars, which is the waste of an asset. And in order to understand how an asset's been wasted, you have to know the asset and you have to know its potential, narratively speaking, not just its individual. Oh, I could cool do this, like it's got super explosive fire, but like narratively speaking, what can you get out of it? What kind of stories can you add to this? So what I want to talk about today is from the most recent episode of The Mandalorian. That's episode 5 of season 3, chapter 21, The Pirate. We're talking about Gorian Shard's ship. It is a Cumulus class Corsair. Naming convention aside, I do have issues with it, but they're not relevant. But naming conventions aside, I don't think this ship should have been destroyed here. I think it should have been captured. Now, to start this, we need to go into what is this ship got. Well, according to Wikipedia, it has turbo lasers. I don't see them. But what I do see is 4 dorsal, so top side, laser cannons. They are quad laser cannons, if I'm not mistaken. And they're good for starfighter defense. It has, on its dorsal side again, a launch bay for starfighters. It has, on its ventral side, on the bottom, 14 salvo missile launchers is what they're called. But they're missile launchers. It shoots 2 at a time, so you're shooting possibly a single volley of 28 missiles in a single go. This ship is a Corvette killer. And flat out, it is a Corvette killer. That is an excellent ship to have. Now, it's used as a planet bomber, and it takes a gunner in each little ball turret, but you can actually wire these up, have them fire individual salvos, so 7 and 7, and you just aim all 7 at the same location at once. Fire off a salvo, bada bing, bada bong, you're good. All 7 of the turrets hit, with 14 missiles each, and you're just slamming the side of a Corvette at best. The best Corvette has lost its shields in a single salvo. Most Corvettes have taken critical damage. So, excellent Corvette killer. It has a hangar deck, so you can launch fighters from it, and then you've got air defense on that hangar deck, so that if you have a flanking maneuver by enemy fighters, they're not able to just strafing run your top side, and your bottom side is protected by the fact that you have fighters. So, it is a very useful craft. Now, why do I think it should have been captured? Well, its opposition in this episode is Mandalorians. Now, Mandalorians are top-tier commandos, and this means they're going to know that taking this ship is a good tactical move. You can take the ship, and you don't have to engage the ground troops at all, because the ground pirates have no way of escaping without their Corsair. So if you take the home ship, everybody on the ground is screwed. They're immediately either going to snag a starfighter and just run the heck away, or they're going to try to bunker down, and if they do that, you hit them with the cannons. Most of them will pretty much just outright surrender. So, what you do is you take the ship and you use the ship as leverage to end the siege. This is tailor-made for Mandalorians. There is no one that is a better choice to perform this action than a squad of Mandalorians. And you have all of them able to be dropped right out of Bo-Katan's gauntlet. Not the one on her wrist, but the starship. It is a Gauntlet class ship. So, this whole thing's set up. It's almost perfect. And then the episode just lands the Mandalorians on the streets so they can have a street fight instead of a ship fight. Because you can do that. You have the ship. It's everything they would do. It is a perfect thing. You get a wonderful firefight out of it. You don't have to worry about it. And you're just airdropping them right onto the hangar deck. They use the hangar deck. They go through the ship and they take out all the pirates in the ship. They take the pirate ship and they end the siege that way. It is an excellent use of Mandalorians. It shows tactical capability. It shows strong fighting prowess. And now to top that off, they have captured a valuable ship. Now, what most people are going to look at that is go, well, what are the Mandalorians going to do with a ship? There's not a, they don't have the kind of crew complement to be able to do it. It kind of goes against their current thing, and they don't really have a use for it. So the answer is they sell it. I'm not kidding. They sell it. It is one of the best ways to provide assets to a group of people that you have that they need money because they're setting up a whole new home. So they're going to need money to pay for their new home. So they just sell the ship. This thing, you take the ship, you sell the ship. End of story. You have now given your new Mandalorian clan the money to set up on Navarro by taking a ship with their warfighting capabilities and selling it. Now they haven't destroyed a valuable asset. They have stolen it and repurposed it for their purposes, i.e., getting them money. Now, who do they sell it to? Well, you've got three options here. Option one, sell it for scrap. This is the worst option in my opinion, but it's kind of the easiest because you sell it for scrap, you throw the ship away, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Number two, you sell it to Grief Karga. He converts it into either a luxury liner or a cargo ship. Because this is a pirate ship, it needs to hold, valuables. It's got these, it's got some defenses. You strip the guns, you sell the guns. But basically, he can convert it into a different ship. Or three, and my personal favorite, is you sell it to a Delphi squadron. You know the New Republic squadron out in the middle of nowhere that requested assistance because they don't have the ability to stop pirate attack? Yeah, they would love this ship. They would love a Corvette killer. So the reason why I like a Delphi squadron to have this ship the most is because it fits their needs almost perfectly. See, this is a strike crew that's effectively only ever going to pick to send out this ship when they know they need it. Things like pirate sieges, which means they're choosing their engagements. So they don't need all their guns to be spread around. They can have them all in one direction, drop out of hyperspace, they go down on the enemy ships, and they just unload into the top of anything their size, or slightly bigger or slightly smaller. It doesn't matter. They just wipe out all the Corvettes with this ship. They don't have to worry about squadron support because they're bringing in X-Wings and Y-Wings as starfighter support, so they're already bringing that in. But what they do have room for, and what they are capable of doing, is dropping transports to evacuate civilians. It is so useful for a Delphi squadron. I personally, when I first saw it, I wanted the Mandalorians to have it. But having seen the episode, having seen where it goes and kind of its whole armament and everything, I would much rather have the New Republic squadron have this. Now, if you will remember in the episode, they were denied resources. But they were specifically denied a strike team. They weren't necessarily denied money. This is something that the New Republic would have a particular issue with. When you're building a government, you tend to have some of one thing and not another. So what the New Republic would likely appears to have issues with is manpower. We know this because they're taking old Imperial officers and they're trying to bring them into the fold instead of just saying, okay, we have enough scientists, we don't need you. They're trying to rehabilitate everyone, which means they're likely lacking manpower, but not necessarily money. You see, a single Corsair ship, especially being sold by the Mandalorians as not at full expense, it's going to be within the budget. So what you do is, since the strike force wasn't able to be presented, and now the Mandalorians have possession of a ship they're willing to sell to a Delphi squadron gets approval for a budget instead of reinforcements. And they say, okay, can we have a budget for a ship? And then can we get like 3 crew members, like a 3-man crew? That's all we need to pilot this thing, and then we can supply everyone else for it. That's really all you need. It's a very small ask compared to a full support squadron, and now they have an excellent rescue ship. And as I've thought about this further, you can actually go into contract negotiations. Well, not contract negotiations, but buyer negotiations in that kind of a thing where you end up with the New Republic isn't willing to pay the full price. Even discounted, they're not willing to pay the whole thing. So what you end up having is a Delphi squadron can then say, hey, we have mechanics, we've got some downtime. You know, if we are willing to provide you assistance in rebuilding at, a rate of about 30,000 credits or so, that makes up the difference for it, right? We're selling our services to Grief Karga, so Grief Karga is going to pay us 30,000. We get say 100,000 from the New Republic, and then that meets the 130,000 needed to buy the Corsair. And I'm just completely spitballing numbers. I don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head because that's not a thing I'm following along with. But that's what you could do is you could say, hey, and we've got this, and then you have a New Republic squadron temporarily on location, and you're building kind of contacts in the Outer Rim where they're learning to be sufficient without the central government of the New Republic. And instead of just having complete reliance upon the center thing, and you say, oh, it's pure bureaucracy, you can't do anything. Because that doesn't seem to be in their nature. So them being willing to sell their services to get a good asset, but only to, they're only willing to sell services to their friends and the people they like, which would be Grief Karga in this instance, is something that they would likely be willing to do. So now you've got a situation where you've brought in even a Delphi squadron into the situation, and they are kind of friendly with this particular outpost of Navarro. And Navarro knows that they may not be able to count on the New Republic, but they can probably count on a Delphi squadron itself if things get really bad. And to top all that off, you still have the benefit of the Mandalorians have more money to build their new home. You have the benefit of a Delphi squadron with a Corvette killer rescue ship. They can refit it. They can take out, maybe the missile launchers, trade them out for actual proper turbo lasers, or, whatever, clear out hold room. And you've established contacts in the Outer Rim. So you've got a situation where everybody benefits. Every person in your storyline here benefits. But no. I can see it now. You had a meeting with all the executives. You're like, no, we need a big explosion here. So the only way we can do that is we can blow up the ship instead of, using it properly, instead of having it as a proper asset that we can have to push the narrative forward. Nah, we're just going to blow it up for a cool short-term gain instead of just completely lose the long-term benefits because, what is having a long-term storyline here, Who cares? Who cares about being able to build up a squadron over time and build up basically an Outer Rim defense fleet from the Outer Rim? Yeah, that would just be horrible. Who would want that? No way anybody's gonna stick around to see that. Obviously, it's a better choice to just blow it up now, get it over with.